According to this panel, Benjamin has 9.5 hours of consciousness left, but according to me, he has 0. Hello and welcome back to Suckboy Central. My name is CJ, and I missed the very brief era between the release of chapters 402 and 409 when everybody was Haukenberg. What do I mean by this? Well, as soon as chapter 402 dropped, people were pretty quick to see the writing on the wall that Haukenberg was gonna lose access to his body through Balsamoco's TSK-17, which was totally gonna get his ass. The question then became, who is Hauk gonna possess? Personally, I heard a lot of people call Balsamoco, but I also heard Kaiser, Benjamin, Camilla, Cleopatra, and I even saw someone say he was gonna possess Wobble. Well, all that came to an end when Haukenberg was revealed to be possessing Balsamoco in chapter 403. Just kidding! Chapter 404 reignited all that with the revelation that Haukenberg had to find a new host, or else Balsamoco would get his body back. And then it started right back up again, and personally, I was in on it. I was in the camp of Haukenberg is gonna possess Benjamin, but obviously all that came to an end in chapter 410 when it was revealed that Benjamin was very much still in his own body and dying of poison. Or was it? That's right, baby. As any gambling addict will tell you, always double down no matter what. Reread chapter 410. Or don't, because I'm about to tell you the important bit directly. We can't actually be 100% sure that this man right here is Benjamin. All we know is that it's Benjamin's body. That's right. I think the man who's declared special martial law and has decided to eradicate every prince before he falls into a coma is Haukenberg. Let me explain why I believe this. When Haukenberg is in Balsamoco's body, he explains that if his body dies, Balsamoco will get his body back, and he and Hauk will essentially inhabit the same vessel, with Balsamoco at the wheel. It's not clear what exactly this means, but Hauk thinks he can keep control of the body by ingesting a sedative right before Balsamoco is supposed to come back. This seems to suggest that every time one of them loses consciousness to, say, sleep, the other one will take over. So they'd be like split personalities appearing every other day. Side note, dang, that must be an insane thing to experience. I mean, imagine being Haukenberg in that situation. That's fucking crazy. Anyway, obviously, this is not a satisfactory state of affairs for Mr. Berg here, because as soon as he wakes up, Mr. Mike can take his own life, and then Mr. Berg is out of the game. However, this change of rules only occurs at the moment Haukenberg's body specifically dies, because then Balsamoco's soul, which is sleeping in Haukenberg's body, returns to Balsamoco. Look, it's complicated, but I'll explain it as best I can. The short of it is that whenever souls get moved between bodies with Haukenberg's ability, the so-called initiator or mover gets priority control of the body. In other words, when Haukenberg possesses Balsamoco with Grimale Dissonance, he is the initiator, so he gets priority. But when Haukenberg's body dies, Balsamoco's soul effectively gets launched back into his own body. And since he's moving, he becomes the initiator. Still with me? Anyway, this actually has huge implications that I kind of wish I realized like a year ago, because this invalidates a ton of my theories. But fuck it, we bowl. Anyway, basically, if Haukenberg takes over someone else's body, he once again has full control over it. So, if he were to shoot Benjamin from Balsamoco's body, that's it, he's now Benjamin, and Balsamoco is Balsamoco again. And even if Balsamoco's body then dies, it's not like Hauk is gonna become Balsamoco, because why would Balsamoco's soul go to Benjamin's body? I mean, even if they were Gege Akutami, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so for all three of you who already fully comprehended all these details of Haukenberg's Nen ability, my apologies. I just wanted to defend myself from anybody saying, whoever Haukenberg takes over, he's gonna be on borrowed time because their soul is gonna wake up just like Balsamoco. Nuh-uh, they never get to initiate anything in the same way Balsamoco does. Anyway, in chapter 404, Haukenberg decides that he will have to make a decisive move to win the succession war. He's not just thinking, I need to find a new body, he's thinking, I'm about to win this thing. So what's he do? Well, based on a very limited assortment of context clues, I think I've put together a pretty good picture. So here's how it goes. Haukenberg decides to use his TSK-17 to take out someone else before he goes too, partly as a trap, partly to maximize efficiency in winning the contest. Knowing Terror Sandwich well, Hauk recognizes him as the greatest threat, so he targets him as Balsamoco. Benjamin, at this point, is like, what the hell is he doing? If Haukenberg's body were still alive, I'm sure Benjamin would be more careful. But he doesn't know about postmortem Nen, and he thinks Haukenberg just manipulates people. He doesn't know about the whole soul swap thing. So, he's 100% convinced that Balsamico is Balsamico. And with the deputy commander of the army going rogue, it's up to Benjamin to either stop him or back him up, depending on the situation, just as Hauk plans. There's a chaotic clash in which Balsamikenberg tries to dose Terror Sandwich with the TSK-17 and jack Benjamin's body. Something goes awry, which could happen for basically any number of reasons, probably due to parallel future, and Terror Sandwich presumably escapes being poisoned. Balsamico ends up dead, and Benjamin ends up both poisoned and possessed by Haukenberg. Benjamin Berg now knows he will need to pull the lever on that trolley problem and crown Benjamin's illegitimate child king so that he can take over its body and rule. Thus, because the kerfuffle occurred around Terra Sandwich and Haukenberg and Terra Sandwich are known associates, Benjamin Berg asserts that Haukenberg and Terra Sandwich were conspiring together, uses the TSK-17 as proof of his claim, and gets to work. Anyway, I will admit the exact circumstances of this scuffle are, like I said, me purely trying to put the pieces together with very little information. That's just how I think it went. Everything I just said could be wrong, but I'm much more confident in the Benjamin Berg theory overall, which could have come to pass through all sorts of other circumstances because of something I rarely see discussed. Balsamikenberg's conversation with First Queen Unma. So on the face of it, this doesn't appear to tell us much, but that's because nobody has really scrutinized it. Well, nobody that I've seen. Maybe there have been videos about it, maybe there have been discussion threads about it, but I'm just one person. I can't search every corner of the internet as much as I wish I could, but unfortunately I do have to get outside sometimes. I know it's a crime. It's a crime! Pretty people like me shouldn't be forced to go outside. It's so cruel. Society's so cruel. Anyway, we were all rather blindsided by the Unma's his real mom reveal and everything else in that crazy chapter, and it just really seems like a general heart-to-heart between Hauk and his mom at first glance. But in reality, we can actually glean some really important and suspicious information from this. Yes, this dialogue implies that Haukenberg told his mother his plan to swap bodies, but that's not what I'm talking about. At multiple points, Unma reassures Haukenberg. She says that's alright, no need to worry, and I'll back you all the way. These lines in particular suggest that not only did Haukenberg tell Unma his plan, but he needed something from her to make it work. He needed support and she offered it like a good mom. How wholesome. This is so wholesome. This is the arc of wholesome family relationships. Now, what is the one thing we're pretty sure Unma is in charge of? Benjamin's illegitimate chud. Do you see where I'm going with this? I think Haukenberg asked for Unma's collaboration in making sure that baby is immediately available to possess in case Benjamin's body, for any reason, is no longer safe to inhabit. Do I think Benjamin Berg poisoned himself as part of some masterful gambit? No, this isn't that kind of 4D chess manga. I think his plan was to kill himself in Benjamin's body right after winning the succession war, so that when Benjamin's martial law inevitably gets found illegitimate ex post facto, well, he's dead already, nothing is lost, and Baby Berg remains king, because what are they gonna do? Revoke kingship from a baby? It's not like there's anyone else to carry on the monarchy if he's killed everybody as he's planning to. In any case, that's why he called Unma then, of all times. That's why he needed her support. It was a desperate play, because normally, telling her his plan would not be a great idea, especially over the phone. After all, what if her favorite was Terror Sandwich or Benjamin? But desperate times called for desperate measures. She controls the baby, Haukenberg needed to possess the baby, he needed Unma's assistance, and her answer was, sure, take the baby. So yeah, those are all the practical reasons I'm a Benjamin Berg believer, but there's also plenty of symbolic ones, and it's kinda perfect. First of all, Togashi loves his fucked up Jesus parallels. Just like Mr. Antichrist Superstar here had 12 apostles, including one traitor, we've got this panel of Haukenberg surrounded by his 12 apostles on his deathbed, right before he's quite literally reborn as a different person. And secondly, this is the logical narrative conclusion of Haukenberg's character arc. His entire story has been one of corruption, and blurring the lines between him and two of the most fanatical and sinister princes in this conflict. Think about it. He starts out as a pacifist compared to his siblings, who are both practiced killers, but once he decides to fight, he takes his first life, and then another, and and soon he becomes determined to kill as many people as he needs to in order to win. He shares certain qualities with Benjamin, like his unwavering resolve and determination to fight for his vision of a better Kakin, and with Terror Sandwich, such as his erudition, love of arts and sciences, and belief that his vision of the country is superior and must be imposed on others by force. And as these lines start to blur, well, we find out that he's literally more similar to those two than we thought. He's not just their half-brother, but their full brother. He starts taking over and using Benjamin's men for his own ends, and his Nen Beast perches on his shoulder, just like Benjamin's perches on him. This character arc was all about Haukenberg's road from idealistic pacifist to violent killer in command of an unwaveringly loyal army who will happily die for him, just like Benjamin. He is, in every figurative sense, becoming his brother, and that's why it would be the perfect narrative touch for Haukenberg to literally become his brother as well, in order to try and win the succession war. Be honest, I could see Togashi not revealing that Benjamin Berg is real until his very final moments as a last-minute gut punch to the readers. He could die realizing he's become everything he swore to destroy, and nobody but him will ever know that he was Haukenberg, not Benjamin, at the very end. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed my deranged ramblings. How likely do I think this theory is? Well, very likely, but it could just be recency bias, and there's a bajillion and one other reasons I could be wrong. The big one I can think of is that this is not exactly the smartest play for Haukenberg overall, but we've seen how eager he is to sacrifice his life when he thinks it'll get results. Haukenberg is a genius, sure, but like most emitters, he's an impulsive son of a gun. He gets locked into one plan, and sure, he refines and perfects that plan to account for every possibility and makes it the best version of that plan he possibly can, but he fails to see that there are much better options he could have gone with from the start. So, while yes, there are much better options open to him than this insane shit, I think this is the one that fits his personality best of all. Just like his mother said, this is so very like you, Haukenberg. I hope we get to find out soon with a new batch of chapters, and I hope you have a wonderful day.